Folks, you're not going to believe this, but I got the one and only Kerry Cassidy. I've been following Kerry for decades. I think she's like maybe the second or third channel on YouTube. You've been blowing up a couple of times, right? They've shut you down already. How many times?
Well, I mean, I have a few different channels, but basically, I guess I had one major channel on there for 16 years, and I think it's 16 or 15, but they basically deleted my entire channel overnight. That was a year ago on, I think it was March 24th.
Right. Okay. So I guess I don't have to school you on all the lingo that we need to sort of dodge so that we can get this uploaded to YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
We live in very interesting times, Kerry. I know that you've been through the gamut. I know that you met with 107, and in one of your interviews, you had said, or about maybe 2-3 months ago, that you finally met him in person and you really think that he is JFK Jr. You're still pretty strong on that?
Yep.
You are. Interesting.
I have tons of evidence. So what can I say? And I've had conversations, long conversations with him over the phone. So there is a 107 that is this guy supposedly called Wayne Willett, in theory, that is working with him. They're kind of like a tag team. So it depends which guy is operational and so on.
Interesting.
It's on my website, actually, if you want to. And I've got lots of people who wrote in who know various things, who stumbled on really interesting things. Actually, I just stumbled on something today where he was on this Jerry Foley show, and I actually put the video out there for people to see on my, everything's on my Telegram channel lately, because I've really put out a ton of stuff there on a daily basis. I put news items I think are worth knowing about, not because I agree or any of that stuff, but just simply to check it out and stay aware. And then also I do a lot of commentary on there. So if you want to know what I think about things, go to my Telegram channel.
Yeah, we'll leave a link down below to your stuff as well, so people can get to
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And off, on my website, I do video blogs. Pretty much every week I try to do a video blog. Sometimes I don't quite make it, but and I'm interviewed by people like you and various things like that too. We're actually moving our entire library right now onto Rumble because it's on Odyssey, but some videos are missing, and also people have trouble with Odyssey. So we've been going over to Rumble lately. I also got my, I don't know if you know that there was some kind of ruling against YouTube and they had to give people's channels back. This happened in about, 2-3 months ago, and they didn't give me my channel back. What they gave me was they split my channel into 2 email addresses I had registered on that channel, and used to have over 1,000 videos and 70 million viewers worldwide and 312,000 subscribers. That's when they deleted me a year ago. And so since then, now they gave me back one of my channels completely blank, no videos whatsoever. And the other one they gave back with 4 videos, but I still can't post to that channel. That's the Kerry at projectcamelot.org channel. And so it's kind of useless to me, obviously. Now I do have this PCTV, which is Project Camelot TV Network, LLC, which is operational. And it does look like they're starting to give me my videos back on that, waiting for my webmaster to give me the word on that, but we're hopeful.
Got you. And because I know, getting back to the 107 question, Kerry, I know that Nino Rodriguez is sworn up and down the opposite spectrum of you, 180 degrees the other way, saying, no, it's definitely not him. Does he maybe know that it is him?
Well, Nino is a good soldier and he's protecting him. I can show you incidents where Nino actually kind of blew it and revealed. I don't know, we're breaking up, so I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Your picture just froze a little
Okay,
bit.
we're frozen.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard what I said. Nino has actually he's a good soldier. He tries to protect him as best he can. Let's say we've had some off the record discussions, but I can also tell you that that he actually has said a couple things that if you watch closely and during when he interviews one, for example, I can say this because it was totally public. There was a point when this is just a few videos ago when he said the camera was like jumping around like it was going to fall or something. And he goes, "Don't show your face. Don't show your face." And I cracked up on that because you see the 107 in disguise came out, full facial, full body, everything on stage. People took pictures everywhere. I have them all over my website on a certain place. And that's actually JFK Jr. in disguise. So you wouldn't have to say, "Don't show your face, don't show your face," when you already shown your face, you know what I mean? Unless suddenly there's really another face behind there and there's a real guy and it happens to be who we know. So
Interesting. You're thinking along the same lines as me. I'm saying maybe Nino Rodriguez is protecting 107.
sure. And
Yeah.
why not? People
Absolutely.
want to do that. I personally, I think, look, I'm not the only one who's thought this for a long time. And there's been evidence out for a long time about this. And there's certain people like Kellyanne, who was quite close to the scene, came out very early on I didn't know about this until later, but I heard about it. And then this guy Prime originally came out saying he's JFK Jr. And then all of a sudden he started doing shows saying he's not, which I think was just another cover up. So, these are the kinds of things going on. But the Jerry Foley show that just happened like 2 days ago or something, whenever it was, there's a really interesting incident during the show in which, Juan, suppose he was in disguise during that show, but he was off camera completely, like you couldn't hardly see his boots even. But in that, he actually makes a joke and starts talking to Jerry, saying, that this incident where they had to take down the video because Jerry accidentally got somebody in the background that he shouldn't have, that could have caused some trouble. And then he comes up with this mask, it's not a mask, but it's a cardboard picture of JFK Jr. wearing the MAGA hat. If you've probably seen that one, it made the rounds. Yeah. So, and Juan made him take it down. And he was joking with him about having made him take it down. So what I think is that he's gradually coming out, he's gradually trying to. So I think he might have even come out to that group of people because they were yelling and screaming and shit.
Yeah.
And like, why would they be yelling and screaming?
Myself, I'm sort of like undecided. I don't know, but I hope you're right, because listen, at the end of the day, if Nino Rodriguez is doing what he's doing, I'm sure he's doing it for good reason. But I think Nino knows a lot more than he actually leads up to. Now, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I knew you were trying to buy some XRP the other day. Were you successful doing that?
Oh God, that's such a hassle. Well, I kept signing up for to buy it, because they lie to you on the Google. They tell you that yes, they let you buy XRP or whatever. Then you sign up for the whole thing, and then you can't. Okay, because a whole bunch of those companies, I guess, I don't know if it's called delisted it or whatever they did. They made it so you couldn't buy it. So now I found a way, but I actually haven't gone ahead with the situation because, first of all, I was doing it. It was just a serendipity. These are the psychic things happened to me. It's very interesting. Anyway, I woke up one morning and said, okay, I need to go buy it. And it was way down. So like, that would be perfect, right? But the whole time I spent hours trying to do this. I was talking to you and I was talking to other people and then basically it started going up, up, up. And so then it was back up. So then I didn't really want to buy it just then because I was thinking, well, maybe it'll go down again. Anyway, so you got to understand for me, because I work all the time. So I'm always like on the job. And it's only like when I take really specific time away to do some focus on my personal something, you know what I'm saying? Other than taking a break just to get away from the internet altogether. So it's been difficult. Now, what I'm trying to do, I know this is probably really boring for people, but what I'm trying to do is I have Coinbase and I have cryptocurrencies in there. I have Bitcoin, and I did make a big amount of money like a year ago, I think it was, on Bitcoin. But then I know you probably think I'm stupid, but I sold it because I wanted the cash, I wanted to make that profit. So, sure. And then I had to pay taxes on the profit, unfortunately. But anyway, so my Bitcoin is not really built up all that much. I really have very little. I mean, it's that, to me, even talk about it is so stupid. I have Ethereum, I have various things, but I couldn't buy XRP on Coinbase. So now what I want to do is I opened this account on what's called Upfront or Uphold. Yeah. Uphold. And what I'm trying to do is transfer from Coinbase my Bitcoin into XRP on Uphold, but I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. I know it sounds stupid. I know I'm stupid about financial stuff. So
listen, if you want, we can either get my wife or somebody inside our room. I will get somebody to help you out.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, no, we could do that. That's why we set up the actual Telegram group, which anybody could join. It's linked down below as well. And that's exactly, because listen, this is like a maze to try and figure out. One person's never going to figure it out. But when we put a bunch of guys that have, 110 IQ in the room together, we become brilliant, And so that's why we put the room together, is because I couldn't figure all of this stuff out. My wife is brilliant with computers and stuff. It comes like a second nature to her, but she's like 1 in a million. Okay. But if we can't get Amber to help you out personally, I'll get somebody to help you out for sure. That's not a problem.
Okay. Well, I have a very high IQ, but the thing is that they don't make it clear on logistics. Like, okay, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. They don't try to make it easy for you. So especially if you're going to try to do something like I'm talking about, like, I think there might even be a meteor step. Like I can't just go direct from, it would be nice if they would make it more simple, but they don't. They sort of fuck with your head. So
the reason, they definitely do. That's a perfect word. The reality is, Kerry, they do it like that specifically because they want Kerry Cassidy to be poor. I want Kerry Cassidy to be rich. When I heard that, the cabal doesn't like people to be rich, I said, okay, I'm going to start a channel and I'm going to try to get 100,000 extra multi-millionaires, multi-hundred millionaires, multi-billionaires, just to fuck with them for a change, as you said, right? So that's why we set it up. I'm going to jump around a little bit. The Galactic Federation, because I know you know a lot. You're like the queen of ufology. You've interviewed the who's who of the who's who when it comes to UFOs and extraterrestrials. You know a lot about this stuff. The Galactic Federation, Space Force, Trump. You think those three are working against? There's been, rallies where Trump, they say it was not Trump, like the one in Arizona. The one that was supposedly the last one, supposedly it was him. I believe it was. I believe Arizona wasn't. You agree on that?
Well, originally, I wasn't so sure about Arizona, actually. I'm not so sure even now. I do know he kept his cap on the whole time. So that kind of reduces the amount of reveals, let's say. But there was something about the Texas one where that was the guy, you know what I mean? That's the Trump we know. But, I don't know. And the guy in Lake Arizona looks skinnier than the guy in Texas as well. I have to say that. So it's possible, I think it's risky business though, but, politicians have always done this, of course, had doubles. In fact, they even say President Kennedy wasn't really assassinated, that his double was, and that he had to then go into hiding his whole freaking life, which is a tragedy in and of itself. So, it's not like you get a get out of jail free card when something like that happens and your double gets it.
Absolutely.
So, and by the way, that's the way I see Juan and John. Juan and John are, John's job. Juan's job is to protect John. And John did that was different is that usually you say you have a double of the guy, right? In John F. Kennedy Jr.'s case, I think kind of the brilliant move was instead of having a double of him, he actually made a double of his bodyguard, which is this agent guy who is Wayne Willett. And I've been face to face, 3 inches from the guy's face, because I at the Patriot Double Down, I really got in one of the guy's faces, but it wasn't John, most unfortunately, I don't think. Now, I can't be completely convinced because it's very hard to tell about these, disguises, like even when you look at their face. But I was looking in his eyes this time. So I was looking in this particular, and he wore a different disguise as the Juan than he did on stage like a couple hours earlier. And I was in the Trump Hotel, like a few inches from his face, talking to him. And then later I went and up to him and I was staring in his blue eyes, and John has brown eyes. Now, I know you can wear lenses that make your eyes look different, but there was something about it where I thought, this is not John, but it's possible that he can actually do that. So, wear these kind of lenses on top of wearing a mask, on top of wearing a bodysuit and all this kind of crap. I mean, I actually feel sorry for him because, what a drag to have to do that all the time. It's just insane. And when I talk to him on the phone, he actually acts like John. I'm going to tell you the truth. I mean, he really does. He tells me things like he wants me to know that he's John. I don't know why, but so then but all of this happened because even when I was questioning the whole thing, because I'm always investigating, questioning everything, right? And then I had these major dreams that revealed a bunch of stuff to me. I can either, believe my dreams or not. But the weird thing is that one night of dreams, the Schumann resonance was off the charts. And it was really a morning full of dreams, but going night to morning. And in that, I was told how he did the disguise and everything. And that I was talking to him about it. He was talking to me about it. And I woke up and I texted him right away, and he answered me right away. And I'm not a morning person, so
This is 107.
it was like really weird. But anyway, so just to say that I don't know how I got back on this subject, but all I'm saying is that this is the kind of stuff goes on. Now, right now, there's a lot of drama going on. I mean, I don't know what you want me to talk about. Do you want me to talk about cryptos, or do you want me to talk about what I do?
We're going to mix it up. We're going to mix it up so it is so, because I have two rooms. One is my Trump room, and then the other one is my XRP room, which encompasses Jassar and Nassar. I think, and you can answer this as well. How do you feel? Because we try to connect the dots, and I think we go way beyond what the XRP army out there does when it comes to really connecting the dots. We connect the Galactic Federation, for example, Space Force, Trump, Jessera, Nessera, XRP, the quantum financial system, the low-lying satellites, the nodes that reside on the actual low-lying satellites, which is the accounting system, the interoperable ledger, in the event that we travel into outer space, which we're going to get into in a little while as well. And in case we're still immature enough to where we feel we need a monetary system so that we can have a means of exchange if we go to other planets. You're feeling me? So we feel that it's all connected. Do you feel that it's all connected as well?
Yeah, except that let me just clarify that the Galactic Federation, in my view, are not the good guys. So the Galactic Federation is a group of races. There may be a few good races in among them, but by and large, those guys actually turned against humanity at a certain point. So that's my point of view. Now, there is something called the Guardian races. I'm aligned with Ashiana Dean, who I interviewed back, like for a 6-hour interview many years ago. I've been, she's been, someone in her group is now putting out videos with her, not, very excellent information out there, all about the war. You could call it the war in heaven, the war with, war of worlds, the various races that are at war with each other. There are both positive and negative, very operational. Now, in terms of Trump, it's important to know that Trump, and this, see, as far as I'm concerned, years ago, the story goes that Trump and John F. Kennedy Jr., obviously coming from the family he did, they decided, they joined the White Hats. The White Hats are a group, and I've dealt with the White Hats for years before Trump came forward. Okay. So you may know that I have. I don't know if you followed me back in those days. I followed, them, so and so. I met some of them, one of them in person, not. I have lots of dealings with Paladin, but I never met him in person. And I can tell you that they are worldwide. They're a group of military and ex-military agents and ex-agents, current agents, so-and-so, people, working in the system to change the system. A lot of White Hats, that's what they do. So they got together a long time ago to create their own secret society called Q, in essence, and that's where you get the Q drops and everything else. So it's important to understand there's a history here. It didn't just happen out of nowhere. And Trump, I believe Trump and JFK Jr. became more and more aware of what the whole deal was, and they set out to stop it, to change it. So it doesn't matter what their upbringing was. It doesn't matter they've got Illuminati background. Okay. They are rebels in their own, midst, in the midst of everything. So people just don't get this about Trump. I get it. I mean, it's so obvious, just look at his personality. The guy, does what he wants. He doesn't, he's a rebel at heart. It's clear. Okay. It doesn't even matter when he's, just comes flat out and says, do the vax. He is a deal maker. He has worked with the cabal as a deal maker for his whole life. Okay. And in the art of the deal, you're talking about, first of all, you leave things on the table for the other guy, right? You don't want, what you call, like extermination of everyone. So you basically, you want to sort of, and one of the things he loves to do, which is encourage, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. That's like, he lives by that. Okay. And maybe with good reason, and plus he has the link to the Tesla tech through his uncle, I think it is, uncle. And so you have to understand that Trump has a Trump card. Okay. And this is why they don't kill him, by the way.
Oh,
and
really?
They haven't killed him. Yeah. Because I think there's something that went on between him and his uncle, and some secret deal, whatever kind to do with the Tesla tech. Okay. And so it's not a simple game. And that has, that also gets into why they're trying to get into, they're saying, oh, Putin wants to go, take back Crimea, or, they want to take back Crimea from Putin, and they want to take back, so sort of, he wants to supposedly invade Ukraine. What I've been telling people is that, think about it this way. First of all, in Ukraine, I have this, because I have a lot of whistleblower testimony that informs me. And then I connect all the dots and pretty much, and use my intuition on the gaps and the dots, you might say. So one of the things is that in Ukraine, there's a mountain that the Illuminati consider is where the devil lives. I know it sounds insane, but this is actually true. So no, I'm saying it's true that there's a mountain. I'm not saying it's true that the devil lives in there. They think this is true. Now, who would be the devil? Well, the devil would be a reptilian entity, maybe a combination, maybe a, Draco reptilian, whatever it is. But it's what I would call a command and control center that's in Ukraine, very likely. this is for the cabal. Okay. So that's one thing. Crimea has 9 pyramids. Hello. And it has this whole highway right out in the middle of open, in this, in between in a valley, in between a mountain range. And it basically vehicles drive along it and then they just disappear into another dimension. So there's, the deep state wants control of this kind of technology and all that. So when you're looking at these wars, it's not actually really even about gas and oil. That's just like a sideline to make money, blah, blah, blah. It's nothing about what's real. What's real has to do with the real technology, the technology for the future that, that actually does fuel underground bases, space travel, off planet, interstellar, et cetera. This is all they care about. They don't give a shit about that other stuff. They just act like they do because it's like they talk in code. So both sides talk in code. This is the important thing to know. And so it's like really difficult to get a straight story. I can tell you, this is kind of a fun fact that JFK Jr. said to me, he said, my language. Oh, cool. And he said on the phone to me, he said, don't talk about aliens. Don't talk about aliens. And like, I'm like, because it's me, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not exactly, but see, they're paranoid over this. Okay. So let me just say this. So in a certain sense, I've been, sidelined, or they kind of push me. They try, they're like, Michael Jaco won't even talk to me on the phone. He's so fucking scared of me. I mean, I love Michael. Michael's a good guy, but you know what I'm saying? Nino talks to me. I mean, Nino and I talk, but Nino, whatever. And all I'm saying is that a lot of these people are told not to talk to me. They actually have come up to me. I've had people come up to me and say, I was told not to talk to you because, even Gene Decode says, because I have sort of this weird aura that gets people to tell the truth, even when they don't plan to. Okay. So it's just kind of the way part of it, I think, is just because I operate like that. That's just my way. Right. And so when I'm talking to somebody, they kind of get into that. And by the way, I'd love to have you as a guest on my show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the thing. There's a lot of moving parts, and this thing, you could go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and you're never going to come up with the right answer for everything. But we get pretty darn close because people like you and I go down the rabbit hole pretty darn deep. Okay. And a lot of times we end up, with more questions and answers at the end of the journey. But the reality is, when you look at all of this stuff, you're absolutely right. It's all about the technology, the suppression. They don't want us to have the healing beds, the med beds, for example. They don't want us to have space travel. They don't want us to be able to regrow teeth. They don't want us to be able to regrow limbs. They don't want us to be able to live 958 years old and still look like you're 25, hot throb, right? And genetically, we are coded for that, but they don't want that for us. They want, whatever. They got us on this hamster wheel, you get the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 is ready to come out, and you're constantly upgrading, and all of our money is siphoned off and it goes all to them. It's all a game. Everything is a pyramid scheme. Every single thing is designed. It's like, okay, you bought the brand new 2012 Corvette. You got the 2014 Corvette or whatever, or 2020 Corvette, and you got the 2021, which has got 6 more horsepower and it's got this detail. It is absolutely how people line up for the new iPhone 2-3 days before the iPhone comes out. To me, that is mental insanity. But because you and I'm sure you don't go and get the latest iPhone, and I'm sure you don't line up 3 days prior to the phone coming out. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah, okay. I have no interest.
We live in a society where I like to call them chicken brains, but I got a guy in my group that actually raises chickens in Alaska. And I said to him one day, he had a conversation. I said, I don't want to insult chickens. He goes, you're right. He goes, I'm in the chicken business, and some of my chickens are pretty smart. So, it's like, obviously, where do you stand on med beds? Obviously, this is the big pushback because they don't want Mr. T to come back. as big as med beds, space travel, life extension technology, all kinds of stuff, free energy technology, mobile Exxon goes away. Are we on the same page, Kerry?
Well, sure, but the thing is that you're right; they don't want it to come forward, and it's also important to know that that the white hats do one thing, okay, and then the dark side does another. So they are constantly playing this game, okay. And I guess you heard, like, after Trump did his speech, which he said some cool things, right? Even supporting the truckers, which was awesome, in Texas. Then this GOP guy who was a long time, I don't know if it was a senator or who it was, but he just suddenly died. Now he's an older guy, so-and-so, but he's one of the people that Trump, how he goes through and he endorses certain people. Well, he was one of the endorsed. So this, to me, this is the deep state. What they always do is they try, not always, but a lot of times that what they want is plausible deniability. So they'll pick a target where you don't quite know, like if you are kind of sorry to say, a little dumb and you're a little easily led, then you can say, oh, well, it's kind of like the building that they demolished 9/11 style in Florida, in Miami, right near Ivanka's house, that supposedly had some McAfee stuff in it, okay, hidden files. Okay, so they completely demolished it, 2 towers, a la 9/11, and then there's still people going, well, it had bad foundation, and so, I mean, come on, like, get a grip. You have to understand, first of all, there are no coincidences, and so as far as I'm concerned, and the other thing is that, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact. There are conspiracies hatched every single day of our lives by nefarious individuals. And if you don't think the deep state is front and center in this kind of endeavor, then, you're just out of your mind. You just don't get it. So conspiracies constantly. And right now there's, there are layers, like, I don't know if you follow my work back in the days, and Richard Hoagland, he didn't make this up, but he said, there are many layers to the onion. So what we know is that there's even Trump and the white hats now operate similar to the dark side. So it becomes even more difficult to tell what's really true and what's false. And right now, both Sidney Powell and General Flynn are coming forward in the patriot community as being under question as to their loyalties. But I have to say that if Trump and his team have given them a mission, what they do is they'll sort of, I think they put out a person who then the deep state can fall for or can think is compromised or whatever. And then they let them go out to a certain extent, and then the person feeds them good knowledge and so on. So, this is the game they're playing. They're playing the same game. So it's, I don't think people should be jumping to conclusions about the loyalties quite so much. It is true that is very likely that even the people that have turned against Trump, I have to say, listen, it's not that hard to tell somebody who's against you. Like if neuro-linguistic programming, psychics around you, giving you, consulting you, and so on. I mean, all I had to do was look at Pence and I already knew he was a bad guy years ago, I mean, all the way back when he first showed up. Turns out he's basically, considered likely a pedophile. I'll try to be careful with my language here. So,
pederast. Let's call them pederasses.
Oh, pederast. And, there's other things like to do with that. Okay. And things that he didn't pull through on and so forth. So I don't know how to explain it other than that, to understand that you need to see there's wolves in sheep clothing, there's sheep in wolves clothing, so to speak. It's a whole mixed bag, and it's, I don't know. There's a kind of seduction in living this way, in living in, secrecy and having layers and layers of secrecy. Maybe it's simply because they had to stay alive, okay, to do this operation, to actually try to take our country back, which I firmly believe they are trying to do.
Oh, not only they're trying to do, we're winning like 100,000 to nothing. This whole thing with Flynn, I think, is nothing more than kabuki theater, because it's the art of war. You got to keep the enemy off balance. Like if you look at guys like Alex Jones, for example, I believe wholeheartedly that somebody went to him, and he's not compromised in the sense that he's compromised, but they say, listen, you got an audience that's 100 million strong worldwide. We need you to help us keep the enemy off balance. We want you to paint the picture like the sky is falling. And, that's where you need to go. That's the narrative for you. You're a patriot. Do us a favor. That's what you got to run on. Right. And he's doing it for God and country. Because I know Alex Jones is a patriot.
I think that there are various people. Yes. I mean, I think that's true to a degree with Alex, but I also think there's, patriots sort of they're now well-known patriots that broadcast, stuff, and I'm not going to name names, that are also questionable. Okay. And some of them are legitimately questionable, and and this doesn't mean that they aren't known. Okay. All I can tell you is I know so much about these things, and it's hard to say, well, I should say this or I should say that. And, it's freaking obvious. And that so-and-so has said certain things to me at certain times. And I can just go back into a litany, because I've been doing this. It's kind of insane. I've been doing this now for 17 years. So with that kind of backlog of experiences and dealing with these various players in all these different aspects, you really learn the game really well eventually. Either that or you don't survive, I would say.
Yeah, well, I've been following you for probably 16 and a half of those 17 years. Okay, a long time. A friend of mine, we actually went to Tyler, Texas, and one of your so-called competitors, if you want to call him that, Dr. Stephen Greer, met us down there because he had to, there was a guy that supposedly had a technology that made cars get 182 miles to the gallon, okay? It was bullshit, long story short. But, I was in Tyler, Texas, and, there was a lot of people down there that were talking about you. And that's how I came across you. I was down in Texas and said, did you ever see Project Camelot? I said, I had no idea who Project Camelot is. Well, go to YouTube and look up Project Camelot. And I started going down the rabbit hole. And then I watched videos with you and Robert Dean and Surgeon Clifford Stone, all the big ones, right? The big boys of the ufology world. And I was completely, because see, back in when I lived actually, where the building came down, by the way, I got footage of that with dynamite blowing it up down in Surfside, Florida. I'll send it to you. This will blow your mind. I got to get your actual telegram. I got all your numbers except for your telegram, and I'll send it to you personally. This is mind blowing. You can actually see the dynamite blowing. I was living in Surfside on the corner of 92nd and Collins Avenue, a building called Surfside Beach Club. I met a gentleman there. I'm not going to mention his name because he's one of the 5 people that worked right alongside Bob Lazar. Okay. And it's a whole incredible story. And so I know this stuff exists. I don't even know why the guy even told me what he told me, but he did. And so when I got into this UFO stuff and extraterrestrial stuff, and then some weird shit happened to me, I'll tell you that maybe on another interview. Okay. The reality is that, it's one of these rabbit holes that you cannot stop. It's like, whoa, because this is mind blowing shit. I mean, literally, you know what I mean? And through the true sense of the word. And so you start to really learn that there's this whole other thing out there, this whole other world that you're not taught in school. You're not taught in college. You're not taught through the media. Everything is a facade. Everything's a bullshit story. It's like what I said, when this whole thing blows over, we got to go back and burn everything and start over again and rewrite everything, because this is going to be the greatest story ever told, I think. Where do you stand on Nessera, Jessera, universal basic income? Because there is two, systems actually competing for each other. One is the Great Reset, which is, communism and globalism, right? That's what, Charles Schwab wants. You're going to have nothing and you're going to be happy. No, you're going to get one between the eyes and we're going to be happy. Okay. So where do you stand on that as far as, a universal basic income under Jesser and Esra? From the research that we have done, is going to be as high as 5,000 or 6,000, all backed by the gold that they found in the Vatican that was, 1,500 kilometers long, et cetera. Or do the bad guys win, and then we go to a $600 a month, thing where you get a basic universal income where you're basically going to maybe some rice and some chicken maybe once a week, but then they're going to knock on your door and say, hey, you got to get the shit ball if you want to get your UBI. Do you think we get the Jesser and Esra UBI, or we get the Charles Schwab UBI?
Well, I'm sure there are many versions of this. I did a whole analysis, Paladin and I, it's an old video, but it's out there about this story. I can't, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not I'm not interested. I think it's boring. I don't like this idea that, first of all, they're going to, support you.
Right.
So I think that is fraught with problems. And so I could care less about that. Obviously, the deep state does want a reset of some kind. I do believe we're moving eventually to some kind of digital gold-backed currency. In fact, they say this is already happening. I mean, I like the idea of blockchain. I like the idea that they can trace votes, for example, using blockchain, which is supposedly what Trump did already for the 2020 election, which is how they know they were stolen, because they were tracking them using blockchain. I mean, this is still secret. I mean, it's insane. I'm not happy about that either. I don't like all this secrecy. I understand both sides, like especially the white hats have to have a certain amount of secrecy to survive, like I said. But I also think that the people are being kept way too much in the dark as far as I'm concerned. So, Jasara, Nisara, all this stuff, medbeds, so-and-so. I imagine, lately I have been actually reading, I study nano because I became very fascinated with nano. Of course, it's in the graphene oxide, the nano, and that has everything to do with the transhuman agenda. So I traced that back because I already knew about it from one of my top whistleblowers, who is Captain Mark Richards, that I interviewed 12 times over about a 5-year period. And then the last 2 years, I haven't been able to actually go because I only do my interviews in person in the prison. So what happens is I was already ready to understand exactly what this, what the jab was, what the, whatever you want to call it, just trying to be careful here, not say these words, but I knew the whole frickin' game plan. Okay. And I still do. And I am also disturbed, though, to know that most people, they get a lot of it now because of the wonderful doctors having come forward and revealed the real nature of what is in the vax. Okay. Which involves all kinds of, disease or, causing organisms, et cetera. I just did a great interview with Christopher Macklin, who's a well-known psychic healer, and he kind of laid it out from his point of view, and he also has some source material on that. I have a NASA scientist, who told me early on that the graphene oxide jumps so that the spike protein attaches to the graphene oxide and then jumps. And we're talking about nano-sized particles, so they can jump across the blood-brain barrier. Masks are laughable. Nothing can prevent this. They actually, they don't just jump, they fly. And Michael Crichton, in a book called Prey, which I have on my website, and I talk about a lot, He revealed this, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. So in a sci-fi story that he's a best-selling author, and I believe they killed him actually. But the bottom line is that most people aren't following nano and understanding how nano works with the AI. And this is all about getting you linked up, not just to the Borg and them controlling you and your body, a kind of takeover scenario, but it also has to do with how it turns you into a different thing and not a human. So you're a transhuman, and that they've shown that the graphene oxide grows. It turns into a lattice-like of these hexagonal shapes and so on and so forth. And it turns into kind of like a reptilian skin, I have to say, under your skin kind of thing. And this is for the people that survive it. Now, there's tons of people that are going to get all the health issues and they're going to die. I believe that's also coming. It's happening already. It's happened. But the thing is that it's going to get worse because there's more and more people. But I also believe that one of the reasons that the dark side right now is letting up on their so-called mandates and keeping you locked in and all this stuff is because now they've got a critical mass of vaxxed people, and they want them to mix in with the unvaxxed. So they get everyone infected by this graphene oxide that then can take over your body. But I say it's a two-way street. Graphene can be communicated with. It's very sensitive. It's a sender receiver kind of material. And you can, look up all this information on your own. And so what happens is that you can actually talk to it just as the AI talks to it and gives it orders. You can give it orders. So this is where, we win. Okay. We win. It's always a battle in the end about consciousness. It's not really about Jasar and Nasara. It's not about med beds or all this nonsense. It doesn't matter. Okay. Eventually, yes, you can cure your body, so-and-so, but that's a materialistic view of reality. What is really going on here is a spiritual battle. And that's what you want to win. That's what's going to discriminate between the men and the boys, as they say, or whatever, because in the end of the day, it's about what you call eternal life and going back to source, or being, completely connected with source, continuing to be. And so this is where the dividing line happens between AI and non-AI, and the people that have taken the, whatever you call it, and the ones that haven't, you see. Because even though we get infected by the jumping nano, it can still, it's already 10 years, more than 10 years, 20 years. It's been in our chemtrails, food, water. It's in your clothing. We have it all around us. But when you start injecting it into the bloodstream, that's when it like can activate. And they even did a thing with the vax where they heated it up from 70, like room temperature type of degrees, to 98.6, which is our body. And then everything started coming alive and things started growing and being activated. So it was the body heat that activated it and actually allowed it to grow and take over. So this is what we're looking at, a brave new world in this regard. And so in a certain sense, this is just my take on it, that I don't emphasize the materialistic, financial, all the stuff. I know you do, and I know people do, but I think it's more, understanding that, as they say, any form of money is a method of exchange. It's kind of like that's all it is. And in the end of the day, you can fight over what's the method, so-and-so. And if I have this guy who specializes in this, and he was what you call a market maker, that I talk to these top financial people. I even talked to a top Illuminati financial person. I mean, it's just the nature of my work that I ended up meeting all these people, and some are good and some bad. Some are actually kind of working both sides when it benefits them, type of thing. Some come out for a while over to the good side and do some work, like Bob Lazar, then they get recruited back into the dark side again. And he's gone back and forth many times now over the years. And other people have as well that I've interviewed and such. So this, anyway, I guess I'm kind of rambling here, but.
No, that's fine. In regards to the financial, I'm telling you, and I've told this many, many times inside my room, the Telegram groups, that at some point the money is going to go away. And you've heard the terminology, the replicators, and we follow a guy by the name of Jared Rand. I'm sure you probably know of him or know who he is. I'm not sure if you've got the opportunity to interview him yet, but he talks some really wild stuff. And, I've heard this before from guys like George Green. I met George Green, through you, because you interviewed George Green several times. And his story is fascinating. And one day I'm on the phone with him. He actually has a farm. Well, he's not, his kids probably still have a farm.
He died.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he's been dead for about 3 years.
But I wish he could have been around I'm sure he wouldn't have liked all of this. This has just been horrendous. But I wish he would have been around for after this, to when things get better again. And, and the things that he's always talked about start to get rolled out, because he was a very good whistleblower.
Oh, yeah, he was. And he met with a lot of the extraterrestrials through Billy Myers and so on, and Pleiadians and people down in what country is that near Colombia? I can't think of the name of it. Ecuador. He had some property down there as well, and he met some people from other planets there as well. And me and him got into some very, very deep conversations over the years. And I asked him, I says, what about money? Do these guys have money? And they said, no, they don't use money. They have replicators, and they have a technology that will replicate and build you whatever you want.
Well, this is where nano comes in, because, I'm reading this book. It's called Radical Abundance. And there's this guy, his name is, I don't know if I can remember his name, but it's Eric, something like Fetzer or something, whatever his last name is. Anyway, I've been quoting him and putting the quotes on my Telegram for people that are watching. And I have to say that what I think, scarcity is an illusion. This is an illusion that the Illuminati basically try to convince people of, so that they fight among themselves for the scraps that are left over, that kind of idea. Exactly. But in reality, it's bullshit. And even Michael Tellinger, if you ever knew about his Ubuntu project that he created, he found out, like he did a trajectory out to the future, how this group would isolate itself and then create, a society and so and so. And what he found out is that sooner or later, and it would actually happen sooner than you would think, they would end up with surpluses. They would have so much surplus, they wouldn't know what to do with it. So then they would end up giving it away to tribes outside of their situation. So the reality is that you call, for religious people, you call the creator, it's called the creator. It's called God. You call it whatever you want, the force, etc. I don't care about the name, but it's not just called the creator for nothing. We are creators. You could think of it as creators in training. So what do? We create. And that is what God does, and that's what we do. You think we're made in his image? We're not just made to look like some humanoid, whatever God type thing you think is residing in a castle in the sky kind of thing. We're made in his image as creators. So we can create endlessly. And this is the problem. I have one whistleblower. He, I've known him for a super long time. But even understanding that these people, he works for the deep state. He's a good guy, but he got roped in at a young age, blah, blah, blah. It's very hard to escape this kind of stuff, right? But he's been taught, to believe in, overpopulation, and they have to get rid of some of the humans. And so, these people actually get taught this at a very young age. And once it's in their brain, they see everything in those terms. But it's actually completely false. There's no end to what they can do. And then that's why they kill people who try to bring plenty. whether it be the med bed or it be, turning all the deserts green. I knew a very top, a CIA agent guy that they killed because he was a doctor, as a matter of fact. And he figured out how to turn all the deserts green. It's endless what we can do to change this planet and turn it into like heaven on earth.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Kerry, with all due respect, I love to chase the money. I love the fact that we're possibly going to create maybe 100,000 multimillionaires, multi-hundred millionaires inside our room, teach them about the quantum financial system, all that stuff that we give them for free. And we have a bunch of patriots that will literally walk you by the hand, like situations like yours. You want to buy some XRP, you can come in our room and somebody will walk you by the hand, literally, and teach you, okay, jump through this hoop. Okay, jump through that hoop. Okay, you get done, do this one, okay? And you're done. Next thing you know, you got your XRP, we put it on your wallet, and boom. But the reality is, we have 7,200 multi-billionaires around the world, and most of them want to kill us. Imagine if this is the biggest transfer of wealth, which it's going to be. Imagine if you had 1 million new multi-billionaires, right, that want to do something great with their money. Because see, when you got a lot of money, money is really stored energy. And when you got $1 billion and you're into real estate, you got your money's making money, you got more money coming in than you know what the hell to do with. That's not the kind of money that wants to sit around and sit dormant. It's the kind of money that wants to do something. You understand?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And so if we take that money and do great stuff with it, can you like Jim Gale? Jim Gale he fits a specific piece of the puzzle where he's teaching people how to grow food the right way. Correct?
Okay. Yeah. And listen, I have to go on to another show. I
Yes.
thought this would just last an hour. So
No.
I've enjoyed it. I really appreciate it, but I don't want to get into trouble with these people. I may have a little bit longer. So just let me check my message here, because in case they said, okay. So yeah. So let me just double check the time so I can get it right. Okay, so right now it's actually 4. Okay, so I still have time. Okay, so I wasn't sure, but
Cool. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, looks like we're right. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2 to this, I'm sure. And
Okay.
I'm sure you'll probably invite me on your show, like you said
Yeah,
earlier.
I'd love that, because
Yeah.
I'd like to cross-examine you about all the things you know about XRP and the whole money game, because I do find it fascinating, and there's always more to learn. And in the current world as we have it, at this current state, the more you know about money and what goes on with it, the better off you probably are.
Well, we're going to sprinkle the money around like chicken pox to the people who deserve it, because we want to see our planet get back to pristine levels. We want to breathe in fresh air that's clean and pristine, like it was 1,000 years ago. We want to be able to swim in our rivers and know that they're not polluted. We want to be able to plant food and know that our dirt is pristine. We want to be able to go on our oceans. Everything's going to go back to pristine levels with the technology that's coming. But we've got to be now in a situation where, like you said, we got to get spiritual. We got to get to, 4th density, 5th density, 6th density. And the only way you do that is to clean out your pineal gland, okay? And eat all the right, as best of foods as you could find on this planet. By the way, you have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come to Costa Rica after this whole bullshit blows over, you come down anytime you want. We got a place you could stay. We got an extra bedroom, not a problem. You got your own private bathroom. Anytime you want to come down. The only thing you have to do is fly yourself down. You don't need to worry about transportation or food or nothing, none of that stuff.
Thank you.
So yeah, and maybe we'll do an interview in person. What do you think?
Well, at the moment, we're waiting to see, the COVID narrative. Sorry, I said that word. The narrative is breaking down. So until they really, step up and really, stop the nonsense, and I mean across the board, because at the moment I don't see enough, changes happening fast enough to suit me. And I certainly I haven't heard one change in their incredible nonsense to do with flying, etc. So I'm not flying anywhere. I actually did fly during this crazy time. One time I did go to Greece. They stole my, they hacked my computer. All kind of weird shit happened. England tried to give me 4 different jabs within a week. I mean, not jabs, but tests. I've never been jabbed, but at least that I know of. I always like to say that people that have been abducted, have been in touch with various alien groups. It's possible, 1, you can be protected against it. Okay. 2, you may have already been jabbed before this whole thing started. 3, there's a lot of different options. So nothing's cut and dried, but bottom line is I just decided, I've had it with this, these Nazis.
I don't travel either. Normally we would go back to Miami 5, 6, 7 times a year minimum.
I travel the world, and they really cramped my style over the last 2 years. So, I'm very hopeful that I have actually seen the future. I believe that this thing is going by the wayside. And it seems that a lot of my future dreams do seem to come true. So I'm pretty confident, but I don't know timing, and that's what we're dealing with. But thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely.
When things
my
allow.
family's from Sicily, and they all got the chip ball. Okay, they all got it. Every one of them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, every single one of them, from what I understand, has got no reaction, 0 reaction. So I think Operation Warp Speed, and we'll leave it at this, and we'll cut her off. Is that Trump was able to flood the market with placebo dosages, because there's a lot of people that are not getting, you don't get the real one and not get a reaction. You're going to get a reaction if it's the real one. Sure. You get 0 reaction.
Well, they are targeting bloodlines and certain racial groups. So certain ones are more immune than others, and so on and so forth, even to the so-called, whatever you want to call it.
Absolute shitball. I call it the shitball.
The shitball. I'll say, okay, saying that.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate your idea. There's no proof of that at the moment. There'd be a long time before we find that out. And I have to tell you that there are certain parameters under which I believe he had to come into office and agree to their parameters, because they are or have been the going, sort of, I don't know, rulers in town, so to speak. And so I do think that he was absolutely working on a certain angle. How successful his angle really was in the face of, you can look at the statistics and we now know we've got batch numbers and so and so. I mean, I can tell you that we photographed nanographene in a swab through the paper using a jeweler's microscope before it was ever opened, and it already had graphene nano on it. So people that are being tested are being given it, into their nasal membranes, et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely. It multiplies, it grows, I
haven't gotten any test swabs in my nose either. I don't go there.
That's good. But, or the mouth or the throat. But, I'm just saying, I'm just saying how, there may have been some mitigating factors. There may indeed be placebos. God bless if there were, hope so. But I wouldn't run my life on that. It's still Russian roulette.
Yeah, it definitely is. But the thing is, imagine that this comes out in the future and there'll be books written about it for hundreds of years. I'm sure.
And all the people that folded are going to go down in history as being just like the people during the era of the Nazis, as being weak, as being stupid, weak, pathetic. I mean, I'm sorry that, and I actually say to people, and, I have family members that fell for this nonsense and just, they don't listen to me. They ignore everything I do, but it's kind of a funny dichotomy, right? But nonetheless, that's what's happening. And I say to people, you want to be on the right side of history on this one, because you're going to look like, a total imbecile to your kids and to their kids as when the real truth comes out. So just a cautionary word.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mrs. Cassidy. I love you. I love what you do. I love what you've done over the last 17
I'm
years.
divorced. You don't call me Mrs. I'm not Mrs.
You're what?
I'm not a Mrs. I'm a Ms. or, Ms. or
Miss
whatever.
Kerry
I'm
Cassidy.
divorced.
Yeah. But anyway, let's do it again. I love your show. I know that you got a lot of guests coming up probably soon. Do you want to announce anything that you might be doing here in a very short future?
No, one thing that I don't do so much is actually announce way ahead of time, because then they screw with me. They get ready for when you're going to have this person. They want to stop and shut them up and give me all kinds of grief during the broadcast. So I tend to wait until the last minute to actually bring whoever I'm going to be talking to. But you can believe that I've got invitations out there. Whether these people, accept my invitations, come along, I don't know yet.
Fantastic. I'm going to upload this, and I'm going to have my wife send you in a Dropbox so that you can upload it to your channel as well.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.